This is J. Krishnamurti's third public talk in Saanen, 1971.
We said that we would be talking over together this problem of looking at ourselves. I wish some of you would go into this instead of me. First of all, I feel that most of us live rather superficial life and are content to lead such a life. And meet all the problems of our existence superficially. And thereby increase our problems, because our problems are very complex, rather deep, and need a great deal of penetration and understanding. But most of us would like to treat all problems rather superficially, according to the old tradition, or adjust ourselves to a modern tendency, and never resolve totally and completely any of our problems, such as war, conflict, violence, and so on. And we also are apt to look at ourselves rather superficially, not knowing how to penetrate deeply into ourselves. Either we observe ourselves with a certain disgust, with a certain conclusion already made up, or look at ourselves hoping to change what we are. I think it is important, don't you, that we should understand ourselves totally and completely. Because, as we said the other day, we are the world, and the world is us. This is an absolute fact, and it's not a mere verbal statement or a theory, but something that one feels deeply, with all the agony of it, the suffering, the pleasure, the brutality, the fragmentation of nationalities, religions. And one can never solve any of these problems without really understanding ourselves. Because ourselves is the world. And if I understand myself, I live. There is a living at a totally different dimension. And to really penetrate not only at the conscious level of our being, but also at depth. And is it possible for each one of us to understand our souls, not only the superficial structure of our minds, but also at the deep, not conscious levels. And as we said day before yesterday, that's what we're going to talk over together. When we say we are going to talk over together, it doesn't mean that I talk and you listen. But we are going to share together. I really mean it, share it. Otherwise, it'll be no fun at all, for you or for me. And how am I, or you, how is one, to look at oneself? Is it possible to look at oneself completely without the division of the conscious and the deeper layers of consciousness, of which we are totally, perhaps, unaware? Is it possible to observe, see the whole movement of the me, the self, the what I am, with a non-analytical mind, so that in the very observation of it, there is a total understanding instantly. That's what we're going to go into. So please, as we said, we are going to share it together. You're going to work as hard as I am going to. It's rather hot, but let us sweat it out. Because this is a very important question. This has been the problem right through religious life, throughout the various cultures. Whether one can go beyond oneself to find reality, to find something that is not measurable by the mind, without any illusion. And in the process of this search to go beyond oneself, one has been caught in various forms of myths. The Christian myth, the Hindu myth, the whole mythological world, which becomes totally unnecessary and irrelevant. So is it possible to look at our souls non-analytically and therefore observe without the me observing? We'll go into all this. I want to understand myself. And I know myself is very complex. It's a living thing, not a dead series of memories, accidents, experiences, and knowledge. It's a living, moving, vital thing. Don't you? You can't say, I am static. It's impossible. It's a living thing. As society is a living thing, because we have created it. Now, is it possible to look without the observer looking at the thing called the observed? You understand my question? Because if there is the observer looking, he looks invariably through fragmentation, through division. And therefore, wherever there is division, both in myself and outwardly, there must be conflict. The national conflicts, outwardly, the religious conflicts, outwardly, the economic, and so on. And inwardly, there is this vast field, not only superficially observed, but a wide area about which we know almost nothing. So, where there is an observation in which there is division as the I and the not I, or the observer and the observed, or as the thinker and the thought, or the experiencer and the experienced, in which there is a division, then there is conflict. Please let us be clear on this point. All of us, not just you and I, one of us, all of us. When I look at myself as an outsider observing within, then there is division, obviously. You, as a Christian, and if I happen to be a communist, then there's a battle between us. You, a Hindu, Muslim, and all, there is conflict. Similarly, when there is a division in our observation, that is I, different from the thing I look at, then invariably there must be conflict. Right? Please, it is not a verbal communication. This is an actual fact. And do you see this fact as actual, not as a theory? So, is it possible? I'm not saying it is or it is not. We're going to find out for ourselves. Is it possible to observe without this division? And to find that out, we hope to come to that perception in which there is no division through analysis. Right? That is, I analyze myself as the observer and the thing analyzed. Is it getting a little bit too complex? No. Good? Avanti. First of all, in observing myself, there is the actual fact of this division. When I observe myself, I say, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. This has value, this is no value. This has relevancy and that has not. So when I look at myself, the observer is conditioned by the culture in which he has lived. So the observer is the memory, is the entity that is conditioned. The observer is the me. And according to that background of the me, he judges, he evaluates. If I am a communist, Hindu, Buddhist, and all the rest of it, I observe myself according to my conditioning and hope to bring about a change in the observed according to my conditioning. That's a fact. That's what we are doing all the time. Hoping to change what is observed through analysis, through control, through reformation, and so on. Again, that's a fact. Whew. I hope you're all getting hot too. Then I want to find out why this division exists. And I begin to analyze to find out the cause. After all analysis is to not only to find the cause, but also go beyond. Right? I am angry or grade A, envious, brutal, or whatever it is, violent, neurotic, and I begin to analyze the cause of this violence, the cause of this neurotic state, and so on, so on, so on. Now, in analysis, what is involved? Please follow this. This is part of our culture. Because we are trained from childhood to analyze, thinking that is going to solve all our problems. Volumes are written on it. All the psychologists, all that business is to find the cause and understand the cause and go beyond. Now, analysis implies, doesn't it, time. I need a great deal of time to analyze myself. Right? I must analyze, examine very carefully every reaction, every incident, every thought, trace it to the cause, and all that takes time. Right? And in the meantime, other incidents are going on, other happenings, other reactions, which I am incapable of quickly understanding. Right? All right. That's one point. It takes time. And analysis implies also that everything that is analyzed must be complete. Otherwise, if it is not analyzed properly, the examination is incorrect. And with that thing which is not correct, I'm going to examine the next experience, next incident. So I am all the time examining with incorrect ideas, values, and so increasing the knowledge of incorrection. I don't know if I'm conveying it rightly. I may be using wrong words, but we'll correct the words. And analysis implies also the analyzer and the analyzed. whether the analyzer is the professor, the analyst, the psychologist, or you yourself, or your friend. The analyzer examining and sustaining the division, nourishing the division, and therefore increasing conflict. All these things and more are implied in analysis. Time, evaluation of every experience, every thought completely, which is not possible, and the division created by the observer, and therefore increasing conflict. One sees that not only intellectually, but actually. It is so. And the other question is, I can examine my mind, the superficial daily activity of the mind. But how am I to understand, examine the deeper layers? You understand? Are you following me all this? Is it any fun? Because I want to understand myself completely, right through. I don't want to leave a single corner, a dark spot, unexamined. I want everything in me exposed, so that there isn't a single thing which the mind has not completely understood. Because if there is a corner which has not been examined, then that corner distorts all thought, all action. And analysis also implies the postponement of action. Right? Because when I'm analyzing myself, I'm not acting. I'm waiting till my analysis is over, then perhaps I'll act rightly. Which means inaction. So analysis is the denial of action. You're following on that? See what is involved. Time, I've forgotten. Time, understanding everything completely, each analysis, which is not possible. Then the division between the analyzer and the analyzed, and therefore conflict. And analysis is the total denial of action. Action means now, not tomorrow. Seeing all this, can the mind understand the hidden corners totally? And is it possible to understand it through dreams? Because all this is implied in understanding myself. That is it possible through dreams and the intimation of the unconscious, of the thing that is hidden, during sleep? I'm glad there is that train. The specialists say that you must dream. If you do not dream, it is an indication of certain kind of neurotic state. And it helps you through dreams to understand all the activities of the hidden mind. And there's so much about all this. All right, I'll go on. Now, what is the meaning of dreams? Should we dream at all? Or dreams are merely, in a symbolic form, the continuation of our daily life? You're following all this? Right? Or we are keeping together in our journey? I hope you are ahead of me, that's all. If you examine closely your own dreams, don't you find, not according to the professional specialists, leave those birds alone, but examine it for yourself. During the day, you are occupied with all the trivialities of life. Cooking, office, all the rest of the quarrels, the irritations that goes on in daily existence and relationship. Image fighting image. And as you go to sleep, just before you go to sleep, you are taking stock of everything that has happened during the day. Haven't you ever done it? No? Oh Lord. Doesn't this happen to you, that you, just before you go off to sleep or lie down, go over the day? That you should have done this, you should have said that, I wish you had put it differently. You got angry, jealous, you go over the whole period of the day, your thoughts, your activities. Now, why does the mind do that? Please follow this carefully. Why does the mind do it? Taking stock of the day's happenings and events. Doesn't the mind do it because it wants to establish order? Right? You're following this? Doesn't it? Or don't you think so? Don't agree with me, because I'm not interested. The mind goes over the day because it wants to bring everything in order. Otherwise, when you sleep, the brain works and tries to bring order in itself. Right? Because the brain can function only normally, healthily, in complete order. Right? So, if there is not order during the day, it tries to establish, the brain, it tries to establish order while the body is asleep, is quiet. And the establishment of that order is part of the dreams. You're following on? Do you accept all this, what the speaker is saying? I hope not. No? I'm delighted. Don't say agree or disagree. Find out. Find out for yourself. Not according to some philosopher, analyst, psychologist, but for yourself find out. That a disordered day, a disordered life must establish order, and then only the brain can function healthily, efficiently, normally. And when there is disorder, dreams are necessary to bring about order, whether that order is deep down or superficial. So, one asks, examining all this, is it necessary to dream at all? Because it's very important not to dream, to have a mind that is completely quiet when you are asleep. Then the whole brain, the whole mind, the whole body can rejuvenate itself. But if it is working while you are asleep, it gets exhausted. And it becomes neurotic, overstrained, and all the rest of it. So, is it possible not to dream at all? Please, I'm asking all these questions because I want to understand myself. It is part of understanding myself. Not merely investigating dreams or seeing the importance or non-importance of dreams. But as there is the fact that unless there is an understanding of oneself completely, all action becomes contradictory, superficial, and creating more and more and more problems. In understanding myself, the old tradition says analyze, introspect. And I see the falseness of it. I reject it because it's false. Though all the psychologists say the opposite, or some of them do. And in observing oneself, one says, why does one dream at all? Is it possible to have a mind that is completely quiet while it is asleep? You are asking those questions, I'm not. I'm only suggesting it to you. I have to find out. Now, how am I going to find out? That is, how am I going to find out? Because I realize that when the mechanism is still, is quiet, it is capable of gathering more energy and therefore functioning more efficiently. Right? That is, look, if the body has no rest, is going on, being driven from morning till night, it soon wears out. It breaks down. So, if the body can rest 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day, break it up during the day, it has more energy. In the same way, during the day, the mind is extraordinarily active. watching, observing, looking, criticizing, judging, being jealous, envious, struggling, fighting, ambitious, all the rest of it. And when it goes to sleep, the same momentum is kept going. So I'm asking myself whether the mind during sleep can be absolutely quiet. Just see the beauty of the question, not the answer yet. Because unless the body is extraordinarily quiet, without gesturing, nervous, ticking, all the things that one does, absolutely quiet, relaxed, not forced to be quiet, then it recuperates. Then it gathers energy. So, I want to find out whether the mind can be absolutely quiet during the night when it's asleep. And I see it can only be quiet if every incident and happening during the daytime is understood instantly, not carried over. You're following all this? If I carry over a problem from today to the next day, the mind is at it. But if the mind can solve the problem immediately today, it's finished. It may meet another problem and finish it. So is it possible for the mind to be so totally aware each day so that problems don't exist? By the evening, you have a clear, clean slate. You're following all this? Then you will find, if you do this, not just play with it, actually work at it, then you will find the brain, because it needs rest, then the brain becomes very quiet. Even 10 minutes quiet is enough. And if you pursue that very, very deeply, dreams become totally unnecessary. Because there is nothing to dream about. You're not concerned with your future. Please follow this, with your future. Because whether you're going to be a great doctor, or a great scientist, or a marvelous, beautiful writer, or going to achieve enlightenment after tomorrow, you're not concerned with the future at all. You don't see the beauty of it. Therefore, the mind is no longer projecting anything in time. Now, having stated all that, can the mind, which is really the observer, not only the visual observer by the eyes and so on, but can the mind observe without division? You understand now? Are you following? Without division, that is, the observer and the observed. Because there is only the observed, not the observer. I wonder if you see all this. Now, let us examine what the observer is. If you have the energy to go on with this. What is the observer? Surely the observer is the past. The past, be it yesterday or a few seconds ago, or the past of many, many, many years. Many years as a cultured, conditioned entity, living in a particular culture, right? The observer is the past. The observer is the total sum of past experiences. The observer is knowledge. Isn't it? When I say, I know you, because I met you yesterday. When I say, I am a Hindu, Catholic, Protestant, Communist, Muslim, it's the past. I've been conditioned in the culture in which I have been brought up. So the observer is the past. Right? This is obvious, isn't it? Do you dispute this fact? The observer is within the field of time, to make it a little more complex. The observer is the past which, through the present, modifies the future. And the future is still the observer. No? When he says, I will be that, he has projected that from the past knowledge, either of pleasure, pain, suffering, or delight, fear, and so on, and says, I must become that. That is, the past going through the present, which becomes modified, the future, which is a projection of the past. Right? So the observer is the past. That is, you live in the past, don't you? Huh? Just think of it. You are the past and you live in the past. And that's your life, right? Past memories, past delights, past remembrances, the things that you have enjoyed, the things you've, and the failures, the lack of fulfillment, the misery, everything is in the past. And through the eyes of the observer, you begin to judge the present. The thing that is living, moving. Right? Are we going together? So, when I look at myself, I am looking with the eyes of the past. And therefore I condemn, judge, evaluate, say it's right, wrong, this good, this bad. Right? According to the culture, the tradition, the knowledge, the experience which the observer has gathered. Therefore, it prevents the observation of the living thing which is the me. And that me may not be me at all. I only know the me as the past. I don't know if you're following me. When the Muslim says he is a Muslim, he is the past, conditioned by the culture in which he has been brought up. Or the Catholic, the communist, you follow? The whole thing is based. So when we talk about living, we are talking about living in the past. And therefore, there is conflict between the past and the present. because I'm conditioned as a Muslim or God knows what, and I cannot meet the living present, which demands that I break down my conditioning. And my conditioning is deliberately brought about by my fathers, grandfathers, keep me in the narrow line of their belief, of their tradition, of their mischief, of their misery. Right? This is what we are doing all the time. Not only the conditioning of by the past, the culture in which we have lived, but also by every incident, experience happening. We live in the past. I see a beautiful sunset, and I say, how marvelous that is. Look at the light, the shadows, the rays of the sun, the green light, the hills. And it has been stored up. It's stored. And that memory acts tomorrow. Says, I must look at that sun again, find out that beauty. And therefore I can't find it, struggle to find it. Go to a museum, you follow, the whole circus begins. Now, can I look at myself with the eyes that have never been touched by time? Time involves analysis. Time involves holding on to the past. Time involves this whole process of dreaming, recollection, you follow? Gathering past and holding all that. Can I look at myself without the eyes of time? Put that question to yourself. Don't say you can or cannot. You don't know. And when you look at yourself without the eyes of time, what is there to look, then to look? But don't answer me, please. You understand my question? I have looked at myself with the quality, the nature and the structure of time. The past. I've looked at myself through the eyes of the past. I have no other eyes to look at. I've looked at myself as a Catholic or something else, which is the past. So my eyes are incapable of looking at itself, what is, without time, which is the past. Right? Now I'm asking a question, which is, can the eyes, observe without the past? Now let me put it differently. I have an image about myself. Not only created by the culture in which I have lived, but also I have my own particular image of myself, apart from the culture. Don't we? We have great many images. I have an image about you, I have an image about my wife, my children, my political leader, my priest, and I have an image of what I should be, what I am not. And I have an image what the images which culture has imposed upon me. So I have quantities of images. Don't you have them? No? Delighted. Now, how can you look without an image? Because if you look with an image, it's a distortion. Obviously, isn't it? If I look at you with the image which I have of you, which has been put together because you are angry with me yesterday. You are angry with me yesterday, and that has created an image about you, right? That you are not my friend anymore. You are ugly, you are this, you are that. Now, that image distorts the perception when I meet you next time, right? So that image is the past. And all my images are the past. And I daren't get rid of any of those images because I don't know what to be without an image. So I cling to one or two images. So the mind depends on an image for its survival. I wonder if you're following all this. So can the mind observe without any image? Without the image of a tree, the cloud, the hills, the flowing waters, the image of my wife, my children, my husband, my aunt. Not to have any image in relationship. It is the image that brings conflict, right? In relationship. I cannot get on with my wife because she has bullied me. That has been built up day after day, that image prevents any kind of relationship. Perhaps we sleep together, that's irrelevant. And there is a fight. So, can the mind look, observe without any image of time, any image that has been put together by time? It means, can mind observe without any image? Which means to observe without the observer, which is the power, which is the me. Can I look at you without me as the conditioned entity? You're following on me? Impossible? How do you know it's impossible? Moment you say it is not possible, then you have blocked yourself. And if you say it is possible, it's also blocking yourself. But if you say, let's find out, let's examine, let's go into it, then you will find the mind can observe without the eyes of time. And when it so observes, then what is there to be observed? The me, I started out learning about myself. I have explored all the possibilities, analysis, all that. And I see the observer is the past. I won't go in, it's much more complex, the observer. It's not, one can go more into it, but it's not. I see the observer is the past. And the mind lives in the past, because the brain is evolved in time, which is the past. And in the past, there is security. Right? My house, my wife, my belief, my status, my position, my fame, my blasted little self. In that there is great safety, security. And I'm asking, can the mind observe without any of that? And if it observes, what is there to see except the hills, the flowers, the colors, the people? You follow? Is there anything in me to be observed? Therefore, the mind is totally free. And you say, what's the point of that being free? The point is, such a mind has no conflict. And such a mind is completely quiet and peaceful, not violent. And such a mind can create a new culture. New culture, not a counterculture of the old, but a totally different thing altogether, where we shall have no conflict at all. That one has discovered, not as a theory, as a verbal statement, but as an actual fact within oneself, that the mind can observe totally, and therefore without the eyes of the past. And therefore the mind is something totally different. Right, sir. Now would you like to discuss this question, what we have talked about?
I think we all see the danger of these images. Though, certain times, some images, for instance, can affect your life. If somebody runs against you with a knife, this image will help you to save your life. So how to choose between these useful and unuseful images?
Questioner says we all live with images. Some are useful, maybe necessary, protective, others are not. The image of a tiger when you are in the woods is rather protective. And the image that you have about your friend, wife, children, whatever it is, that destroys relationship. Now, how is one to choose between the two? What to keep, which are necessary images to keep, and which are not necessary to keep? You got it? You've understood the question? What are the images I should keep, and what are the images I should discard? The images, the question says, are some of them are self-protective. They protect one. Others are destructive. Now, how am I to choose? Right? I don't know. We shall find out. First of all, why do you choose at all? Listen to my question, please. Why do we choose? What is the structure and nature of choice? I choose only when I'm uncertain. Right? When there is confusion, when there is uncertainty, when there is no clarity, then I say, my Lord, I don't know what to do, perhaps I will do this. Right? When you see something very clearly, there is no choice. Right? It is only the confused mind that chooses. And we have made choice as the most extraordinarily important thing in life. We call that freedom, to choose. Choose your politicians, you follow? To choose this or that. And I say to myself, why do I choose at all? I'm coming to questions, so go into this carefully with me. Why do I choose at all? I choose between two stuffs, two materials. But that's not what we are talking about. We are talking about choice, which is the outcome of uncertainty, not clarity, confusion. Right? Then I have to choose, which indicates a mind that is very clear has no choice. Right? Now, is your mind confused? I'm coming to the questions. Go into it step by step. Is your mind confused? Obviously it is. Otherwise you won't all be sitting here. And out of that confusion you choose. And therefore increase more confusion. So, you say, I have so many images. Some are protective, others are not necessary. Is there any choice there? Listen carefully. Is choice necessary there at all? You understand my question? I have many, many, many images about everything. Opinions, judgments, evaluation. The more I have opinions, the greater I think I am, my mind is clear. And images I have galore. And I say, which of these images is important, relevant, and others are not? Now, why do I have to choose? Choice arises only when I am uncertain which images I have to keep, which images I have to discard. You're following all this? Follow it. Carefully follow this. I choose when I do not know which images I have to get rid of. Now, who is the entity that is choosing? Surely, knowledge. Knowledge is the past. Follow this. The past, which has created the images, dozens of them, chooses which it shall keep, which discard. So you are choosing according to the past. And therefore your choices invariably must be confused. Therefore don't choose. Wait, see it, don't choose. Then what happens if don't choose? You won't be run over by the bus, obviously. It is the very choice that sustains the images. I don't see. Yes, sir. This is how you are. Wait a minute. Just a minute, madam.
You mentioned that we're all confused, otherwise we wouldn't be here.
That's a part. Carry on.
If I am confused, how can I possibly listen to you without evaluating everything you're saying?
That's just it, sir. That's what we are afraid. The questioner says, if I am confused, which I am, how can I listen to you clearly? Right? But you are not listening. Are you? Maybe sometimes. We're not talking about sometimes. We're saying, are you listening now? When you are listening with attention, with affection, care, listening, are you confused? It is only when you're not listening and you want to listen, then confusion arises. Oh, for the love of God. Just, I'll come back, sir. But at the moment of listening, where is the confusion? And remembering that moment when you have listened so completely, then you say to yourself, I wish to goodness I could get back to that. Right? Then you have conflict. Right? Then you say, how am I to get back to that state of listening? See what has happened. The memory of that state of listening remains and the actual fact is gone. So your memory then says, I must listen more carefully. So there is contradiction. Whereas if you listen completely at that moment of listening entirely, wholly, there is no confusion. That moment is enough. Don't try to get back to it. Pick it up again next 10 minutes later. But be aware during those 10 minutes that you have been inattentive. Right? You get all this? Yes, sir.
This seems that the new culture that we come out of this, the entirely new, that is seen as a peaceful one. That this new culture emerging from the still mind would be absolutely peaceful.
I don't know, sir. That is supposition. The gentleman asked the question, if the mind of all of us is peaceful, then we'll have a new culture which will be a culture of complete peace. You see how our mind works?
My question is not finished.
Oh, not finished. I beg your pardon.
Well, if,
No if.
well, peacefulness is then would be in conflict with the violence of the present day society, wouldn't it?
Would people be in conflict with the present day, present structure of society? If I am peaceful, would I be in conflict with the structure of society? And what do I mean by conflict with the structure? Go on, investigate. So don't wait for me to... Competition. I want to establish myself, my ideas, follow exactly what they are doing. No?
Sir, if somebody says, take this gun and shoot, you say, no, you're in conflict, aren't you?
No. If somebody asks me to take gun and shoot somebody else, what will you... I won't. What is the question?
If you say I want, you are in conflict.
Well, I'm certainly not.
They say you are.
They'll put me in prison,
Yes.
right? But I am not in conflict with them. If the drug culture says you must take drugs, and I say, sorry, I don't want to take drugs, who are they? Are they in conflict? Am I in conflict? I am not. They are. What is the point of all this?
Two sides to the conflict.
No, there is no two sides. I don't want to have conflict. As a human being, I have investigated into this whole question of conflict, outwardly, inwardly, and I have gone into it pretty thoroughly, and I said, and I have, suppose if I have eliminated completely all sense of violence in me, if you are in conflict, what am I to do? If you beat me, if you ask me to take a gun and shoot somebody, if you get violent, it's your problem, not my problem.
Sir, if a man will ask you to shoot somebody else, you can say, he's in conflict with me, I'm not in conflict with him, he doesn't want to do what I want him to do.
But I am not in conflict with him. Why should I shoot him? This becomes... Wait. Is somebody offering me a gun now here? Huh? You're not offering me a gun, are you? To shoot somebody? Why does the problem arise? You see, the problem arises because we are now beginning to speculate. What will you do if you are peaceful? Find out how to live peacefully first, and then ask. That question will be answered later. What? Does conflict come from imagination? When two people quarrel, does it come from imagination? Look at it. I am attached to you, depend on you. Right? Depend. Emotionally, psychologically, physically, sexually, economically, I depend on you. And one beautiful morning, you say, go to me. I like somebody else. Then conflict arises, right? Is that imagination? It's a fact. Because I am dependent on you for companionship, so on, so on. And when you turn against me, I am lost. That's not imagination. It's an actual fact. Then I begin to find out, why am I dependent on you? I want to find out. That's again, I want to find out, because it's part of self-knowledge, you understand? Why I am dependent on you at all. Wait, aren't you all dependent on somebody? Psychologically, inwardly? Can you stand completely alone? Say inwardly. We can't stand alone because we are all, I need the milkman, the postman, the railway, etc., etc. But inwardly, completely alone. Not be dependent. So I have to find out why I am dependent. Why? First of all, I am lonely. I don't know how to go beyond this loneliness. I'm frightened of it. Deep down, I have no answer how to resolve this terrible thing called loneliness. Don't you know all this? So, not knowing how to resolve it, I attach myself to people, to ideas, to groups, to activities, to demonstration, to climbing the mountains, all the rest of it. If I could resolve this problem of loneliness totally, so that the idea doesn't exist at all, Now, how am I to be beyond this terrible thing of which man has fought inwardly at all times? Because being lonely, insufficient, incomplete, he says, there is God, there is this, there is that. Projects an outside agency. Then how am I to be free of this loneliness? Do you want to go into it? Aren't you tired? It's 11:45. Comment on est là? Oui, sûrement.
Il y a pour l'homme un seul regard, une seule manière de regarder, une seule manière d'écouter, et qu'au fond la liberté de l'homme consisterait à consentir à ses regards et à ses écoutes.
You know, we better stop. Sorry. Demain. Après-demain. Non, dimanche. I think this is too complex a problem. That is, how the mind can free itself from this terrible burden of what it calls loneliness. You know, have you ever realized what we do out of this loneliness? What horrors we commit? And to go into this really completely, we have to, another time, dimanche.